Hello everyone to another multiplayer Wargame AirLand battle multiplayer cast. So this time we'll be playing another 1v1 ranked game on the ladder, me being PPCC once again, and my opponent being Franknaz. Oh my god, I just played this game and I'm actually still shaking just off the feel of it. But anyways, we're starting over here. We are blue this time as opposed to red, and well, my objective for the start of this game, because it is quite a large map, is that I'm going to go the traditional route and go over here to take Bravo with two of these command vehicles. And in a recent defeat, I found that capping both of these points was a really good idea, so I decided to do that. And you may have noticed that this time I'm going for another infantry heavy deck. I'm playing with my deck titled Nito. I'm not going to show what's actually in it, simply because this is the only ranked deck that I have so far, but it's essentially composed of fast blitz units such as these APCs and Humvees. Well, I guess you could probably deduce what units I have, but essentially this deck goes for map control, and all I'm doing is just sending my units everywhere for map control. So I'm sending one group of units to control the back portion of this little town right here. I'm sending one Humvee to check out this little town, but more importantly to investigate Foxtrot. I'm sending a few infantry units just to dig themselves inside this little, I wouldn't say it's a forested area, but this little cluster of trees. And over here I'm sending my main body up with a ton of these blitz infantry on these really fast and cheap, notably Swedish trucks that can actually go up to 150 kilometers per hour to this little, oh god, it's cold too. I'm in Canada and I don't have the heater turned on, but anyways, I'm going to try to capture this little place. And by the way, does anybody else feel like the vehicles inside this game, like look at this, look at the truck, and then look at the car. Now back to the truck, and look at the car. Like, how weird does that look? These cars are so small. Okay, but anyways, my opponent here really favors using air power throughout this game, and he'll be deploying quite a lot of these like little chopper things. At first I thought he was going for Gulf because he had a hotel capped off right away, and during the entirety of this match, figuring out what my opponent does is really rather important. And you have to counter his mentality, you don't necessarily counter his units. The first contact we have here is between my Humvees armed with light riflemen against his BTRs with presumably the cheapo infantry inside that little square right there. Unfortunately, he got there before my units, but it's not that big of a deal. And in the meantime, I'm just resupplying my zones, trying to cap out all the things. I'm rather lucky that I did secure that area. He does have more infantry than me, and because he bought some of those M14 AVs, they were able to unfortunately tear my light rifleman a new one, but overall, I would say that things are still alright here. Oh yes, and we've garrisoned the little villages here. So in the beginning here, it's mainly just an infantry slash air showdown. I'm deploying my F-15 or 14 Tomcats to provide me with quite a bit of air superiority, simply because they have like some humongous range, but they can't target certain things like helicopters. So inside this village, it's completely composed of, well, no, not completely composed of, but the majority of the infantry are these Swedish riflemen. They're $10 a piece. They're armed with Mauser rifles, so they're not that great in actually taking out very much, but they're very cheap and they're very expendable, so I guess they're more of a mass use weapon. Their primary purpose is just to hold ground and be a pain in the ass to destroy, so that's why I've kind of deployed them in the center of the village here. Oh yes, and I have some land stingers. I like these for no particular reason really. But the main thing I want to bring to you guys is the, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. It's like Privgerp RBS 56, which is a ATGM squad. But the nice thing about these missiles is that well, they're infantry based and they have quite a low range for infantry based ones, but the good thing is that they have quite a high accuracy and a high AP power. And during one round I found out that these things were actually able to take out M1 Abrams frontally on, simply because they have such a high amount of AP power, and they well, they're really accurate, so they practically hit almost every time, right? So we're just going to put those there and just see what happens. In the meantime, I send these really cheapo trucks again out. The reason I do that is because they're actually only worth 1 point, so if I can just kind of bait out a few of those ATGM rockets, I mean, like literally the missiles, the ATGMs fire are worth more than those trucks, so that's kind of why I do that, and then I just send those forward to be eliminated as scouts. And I put like an entire column here to, you know, play around, roost, or whatever you like to pronounce it as. So anyways, these trucks are just going to be sitting here, you know, just to make my opponent think that I have a large amount of infantry either spread out inside these forests, or he may think that there's a little bit of a column here with just infantry. Either way, it deters him from going into that forest, and well, if he attacks these, then he's really gullible, and then we can probably exploit that later on, right? So that's kind of why that's set up there. I'm a little hesitant on capping Charlie at this point, simply because that's a little risky, and at this point I think I set up a better GM net and a better air net. And over here he does the same thing. He has the same ideas as me with sending those vehicles up. Unfortunately, this game is a really long match, simply because you know, the more I play this, the more I kind of realize this, but the game inherently favors the defender, which favors essentially sitting inside one of these zones, getting a little bit of a point bonus at the beginning, and then essentially doing nothing from there. Like I said, he really likes to get the Air Force going on over here, so I bring in my Chapar over here. Unfortunately, these things only have 4 missiles, but they are fairly accurate, and they have a really high helicopter engagement range, so I snipe those 2 things off. So that's rather nice. With those 2 helicopters off, we get a nice point advantage, and I see his T-55 line up right here. I believe I bombed those later on, or sooner than later, sometime, yeah, I bombed those. So overall, right now, we have about half the map controlled. I'm a little hesitant in going into Echo, and I'm a little bit hesitant in capping Charlie, because it is fairly vulnerable. And the main thing that you have to think about when setting up these places is where are you going to put your command vehicle, and where are you going to kind of lock it down, simply because there's only a few locations, and if the enemy discovers those locations, they can just bring in a horde of bombers or artillery to take them out, and that's a really big pain in the ass. So for example, for this particular zone, I decided to put it on the edge of the road here, simply because that gives us a little bit of mobility. I didn't put it on the very edge of the zone right here, simply because that would be a little dangerous to, what do you call them, infiltrators, and if you put them in the center of this blob here, I find that that's a likely location for people to drop munitions onto. Ooh, pretty jets. Yeah, but here's when I bombed this little column. I like to use these intruders simply because they're armed with, well, they're armed with quite a lot of bombs, as you can probably tell. Unfortunately, they only detonate in a line, so usually they don't hit as many things as I'd like them to. But the good thing is that for only 60 apiece, you don't get cluster munitions. And what I mean by that, cluster munitions, they blow up and then they essentially discharge over a large area. That's very good to take out infantry, but it's not very effective against armored targets. And one of the bigger problems about buying cheapo planes is the fact that you either get cluster bombers or planes that are just really bad even for their cheap price. Now the problem with using these Swedish ATGMs is that their ATGM range is pretty low, and if you don't have any meat shields in front of them, they are gonna get sniped off. I did put one inside this little bush right here, simply because I think this is a really nice location, and my opponent looks like he only has these T95 or T55s with only a fairly small range. I think most of the higher end tanks have a range of 2100 meters. These ones only have a range of 19.5, so at least I should be able to take out one of them, and I believe these things are only worth about like 15 apiece, so it's not that bad. Yeah, but the downside about this whole like infantry meta right now is that it really encourages extremely slow play. So right now I've just been moving infantry up the flanks there. I was trying to commit my own little infiltrator task here by moving up this little group of Marines to go into hotel. He found it, unfortunately, but you know, it's a good thing he's keeping active reconnaissance, and my infantry squad here manages to sneak by 2 squads of like those T-55s. I thought he was going to try to push for a breakthrough, but he didn't. I bought some of these LV PT7A1 things simply because they have those grenade launchers and they're decent for the most part. They're not the best, and he almost ran some Tungustas into my infantry. Unfortunately, he didn't. Yeah, and over here I'm also trying to use my infantry to kind of scout out his locations, and we'll be playing on the 4x speed simply because this match takes up the entire duration of these 20 minutes. So once again, oh, important thing right here. I have a few ravens in my deck and a few tomcats, but one of the things that you can do with your radar anti-air is that you can simply shut them off, and they won't actually hit any. They won't actually be vulnerable to the seed missiles, so long as their weapons are not targeting it, or so long as your weapons are shut off, right? So that's kind of what this player is doing. He's shutting off his missile emplacements so that I can't really go in there with those Raven planes and pick them off, which is fine, but there are ways to kind of get around that, and you'll be seeing those later on. Another vulnerability is the fact that with those seed missile craft, the minute you hit evac, they stop firing their missiles. So the minute your opponent sees you evacing your planes, he can turn on those books and those radar like Martyr Roland 2 things and then hit you. So one of the things I figured out to do was to just kind of skim along the edge of the battlefield and then see if I can bait anything and then pull back to friendly or neutral territory, and you'll see a little bit of that. It looks like I kind of bombed my own troops there, but there was a few like Russian infantry inside that little forest. I've got to say, that was a nice bombing strike. I mean, it missed our infantry completely while just taking out their little squad, so that was nice. You know, let's figure out what my opponent is doing over here. So let's see his general build order. So he's got or setup. He's got a lot of these cheapo infantry set up inside the forest. That's good. Provides flank protection right there. Has some ATGM on the roads. I could in theory snipe this unit with something, but that should be fine. He has the central area. You know, I wouldn't say nicely contested, but I mean it's good enough, and he has quite a lot of these Tungustas and all this good stuff everywhere. Overall, I can't really say there's much stuff that is really remarkable. He's keeping his little recon plane in a good location to prevent or what do you call them, infiltrators. In the meantime, he's trying to infiltrate my lines, but the good thing is that I noticed that, and I'm actually getting an active attempt to kind of find them. So I bring in the little Adet. Little chopper, and it's a good thing that found it. So if you do have a recon helicopter, it's a good idea to just circle the battlefield once or twice if you have the fuel and if you have the time. I saw his little planes earlier, so I bought some land stingers and some LAVs to just kind of bring those to the fight. Get a nice pick off with my Chaparro over there, and then that's essentially the end of that for now. Generally speaking, if you try to do infiltration attempts, stop immediately after the first one if it fails, simply because your opponent will be on edge, and he'll try to put a lot more defenses on his little control points. Oh, here it is. Slow this down. Okay, so. I bring in the Raven first for one flyby. I want to try to spook his AT launchers into firing upon my little Raven, but unfortunately nothing really did. I didn't realize that he had these Strela things though. So that's the first flyby. Speed it up a little bit here. So I believe I do spot something over here. Where no, I do. I managed to just kind of get a glimpse of his. Oh no, I don't want to zoom in. Jesus Christ, terrible controls for the camera. I spot his T-55s advancing here, so I bring in some of the intruders. At the same time, my Raven is making another flyby. It's coming back, and the Tomcat's there to provide anti-air. So the Raven comes, he turns on his anti-air, boom, snipes one of those off, he gets one of my intruders, 85 points to 60 I believe, so that's still perfectly good, and then I pull back. That could have gone smoother. I could have probably not lost that plane, but overall things are fine there, and I do actually manage to snipe off, I think, 2 of these T-55s. Let's see if the second missile hits. No, just 1, but a lot. So that essentially balances out the point balance in our favor quite nicely. Yeah, this is I regret the fact that this game has a lot more downtime now. Like it's truly a bad thing. I really feel like they should really make some adjustments to the game modes to make taking the offense and playing with an armor heavy deck a lot more viable, because this game isn't necessarily striving to be perfectly realistic, and I think they should really change that. But anyways, that's the meta for now, so we're going to have to deal with it. He really likes to try to snipe off my vehicles, and I believe he's getting a little desperate now that there's only 10 minutes left on the clock, so I first drop my infantry, and I'm over there. I spot his little recon stuff going on over here because my Adet actually makes another run, so I bring in the strike bombers over here, and because we're flying in friendly airspace, I just saturate the place like crap. Just bomber after bomber after bomber, and then finally one bomber actually hits it and takes it out. And of course, I don't know whether or not he spotted my my little command vehicle here, but I will move it just for the sake of letting him see the zone going neutral and then capping back, just so that he gets the impression that he's spooked me, is what I've done there. And I speed things up. He's also sent another little raid that gets taken out by my LVTPs. And at this point, I know he's going to make an attack, so I deploy some of my tanks, some more air cover. In this case, some AMXs, which are fairly cheap tanks. They're fairly fast and have a high accuracy main gun, but it's a little low penetration, but it works. So we're going to be deploying a few of those, and he's setting up those T-55 things again. I decided to pull back my ATGM squad because, like anti-tank guns, you should never keep these things in the same spot twice after they've been located. At this range, if that tank comes over the hill, I believe they'll be able to spot me, which is unfortunate. I didn't know that that infantry squad was there until they actually hit my tanks, unfortunately, but that kind of rendered this little armor engagement here a little unfair, simply because I don't think my tanks would have been able to take out his T-55s. The AMXs, they have a fairly good cannon, but it has a low penetration, unfortunately. I don't know. I'm still trying to pick out a good cheapo tank. I was going with the Leopard series, and now I'm gonna go with the AMXs. I don't like the Chieftans simply because they... I just don't know. They're slow. They're really slow. They're not good tanks. I mean, World War I or World War II tanks could drive faster than them. And he brings up 2 of these little gun tractor things, and I bring in the air power, and then I don't believe he actually has anything to take down my LA intruders over here, but I deployed the Raven anyways. And what I discovered is a good idea to do on this map is that if you're going in this direction, just kind of skirt by the enemy's lines. Because I do have Tomcat, I could in theory cover this thing as well, but I'm just gonna pull out over here near the river. And yeah, there's no way he's going to be able to hit my plane when the evac is ordered over here, unless he brings his own planes, which entails the risk of being shot down by my Tomcat. And I don't know if this is just kind of like a blind guess or like a measure of desperation, seeing as how there's only 7 minutes. But he dropped some artillery over here. I'm gonna guess he thought that there was maybe some infantry over there, or maybe a command vehicle. But since he wants to hit that spot, I'm going to give him the impression that I was there, and I'm going to just kind of wiggle my command vehicle like that and give him the impression that I moved it somewhere. And he brings in the choppers again, targeting the 1-point trucks. Like literally the ammunition from anything that fires an anti-tank round is worth more than those trucks. So I'm not too worried, but I kind of want to see if I can bait them to my Chaparro over here. And I moved my my AT squad back because I found out this ridge is actually a pretty good location for sniping tanks. So we're gonna stick with that. What else happens? What else happens indeed? Oh yes, and I do another little loop with the little helicopter and discover some more infiltrators. So on comes with the bomb drops. Unfortunately, they had to make another run. So yeah, like I said, it's really nice to do 1 or 2 laps with those little helicopters, because you never know what you're gonna find, whether it be some lone guy in the middle of a field standing doing something, or a entire little pack of Franknaz troops that you guys probably didn't catch because they were killed already. So it's just small harvests like that. The harvests of the small recon plane. Fly on, little plane, fly on. So yeah, that's always a nice thing to do, and I'm in my infantry over here to pick off this squad. I do notice that he's bringing quite a lot of tanks down on this main road, and let's just make this a little climatic. You know what? Switch this onto his perspective, or no. Switch this onto neutral. While he's doing that, I'm trying to evaluate what he has, and he actually has like some T-80s in there and some stuff like that, but I essentially buy some M1 Abrams and some other good stuff like that to counter them. You know, I really like these ATGM units. You know, they hit accurately and they took out one of those Russian prototype tanks, and these things were giving me hell last game, killing off all of my infantry because of their high frontal armor and all of that good jazz, but those things are really, really nice. He's doing that. I'm deploying M1 Abrams sometime right now. No. What about now? Okay. Anyways, tanks come from here. That's the point I'm trying to make. So let's make this a little climatic and really zoom in. So he's going to try to blitz me. He's going to try to take a few things from my units. In the meantime, I'm retreating all of my units. Wee gunships. Oh, are those the M1 Abrams? Yes, they are. No, those are Leopard 2s. Are they Leopard 2s? Yes, they are. So yeah, I'm going to start trying to deploy some of those while he tries to roll some of my units over here. He's bringing a ton of AA, expecting me to use my bombers against him. In these situations, it's always nice to have like quite a lot of reserves to commit. A good thing about doing these infantry decks is the fact that you're really never lacking on points. So at this time, I was able to buy like a crazy amount of Leopard 2s and quite a lot of Abrams. So I get those on the field, and those things can easily counter whatever he has here. Now, like I said, these things are amazing. It just sniped T-80. Like, so long as you put them behind some infantry, these things absolutely wreck vehicles. And granted, that was a flanking shot, but still, they're pretty damn good. And here comes the cavalry. M1A1. Brings in the helicopters or the planes, and I believe those things are taken out. Yeah, right there. Big, pretty explosion. Really liking this in cinematic view too. It's really nice. Let's find the Russians and get a... No, that one just died. That one just died too. So yeah, at this point he's trying to bring in another plane. Unfortunately, no, that one gets taken out too. Boom. Pretty explosions, and I believe that's pretty much the end of... Oh wait, no, another plane. Does this one get taken out? Yes. At the expense of like one of my tanks, I think. I don't know why I ordered my tanks to to drive in reverse to the enemy though. That was kind of weird, but okay. Oh well. Anyways, I believe that's the that's kind of the end of that engagement with 1 minute on the clock and with a 1,000 point lead. He's going to have to essentially sacrifice everything to try to. Well, no, actually, the game's pretty much over right now. I mean, I was going to say that he was going to have to sacrifice everything to try to meet that total, but then again I realized that I only needed to kill 70 points worth of stuff, and then it would have been game over. So that's well, that's that round. Really, really low intensity, but I mean, hey, oh well, it was a good battle. It was really well fought. Really, overall, a pretty good game. Unfortunately, I feel like the fundamental game mode of destruction is a little bit flawed, but hey, that's just my opinion, right? Okay, well, I'll see you guys next time. We'll be playing another, I guess we'll be playing another round of this, or we might actually start a Warsaw Pact campaign. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now. Be sure to like and subscribe.